We saw him earlier, but I'm joined again now by Michael Rosewell, Music Director for English Touring Opera. Very nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Tell me about English Touring Opera then. Let's just take a moment. Presumably touring, the clue's in the title.
It's in the title, it's true. We tour. It's the largest touring company in Britain in terms of where we go, the number of venues, the audiences that we reach, and the extent we're on the road, basically. That's us in a nutshell.
So what's your role? Do you drive the van?
My role is, I drive sometimes my own car, but usually I'm getting the trains more and more these days. Because it can be quite grueling, you know, if you've got an evening performance, you travel through the day. We always have a balance and seating call in any new venue. So that's just to prepare ourselves for every new acoustic, because every theatre is different that we visit. And singers haven't necessarily sung in that venue before, so it's a way of just settling, getting to know the ins and outs of the venue, and then hopefully delivering a really good, solid, rather wonderful performance in the evening. That's the aim anyway.
How do you decide where to go?
It's a negotiation between the administration at ETO and the venues around the country.
Do there have to be certain things in a theatre? You know, could you do it in a church hall, or does it have to have a certain amount of things that you need to go into that place?
Well, I mean, we're going to Perth. We're using the concert hall because the theatre is shut, and we still wanted to go and visit Perth in Scotland. So we're going to make it work within a space that isn't actually a designated theatre. In Aldeburgh as well, St Maltings, it's not a fully functioning theatre, but it's a concert hall with a stage area. So we would use those venues as well. Our idea is just to perform wherever people will welcome us and want to hear our work. So that's
how did you get into opera?
Well, as a student, I started as a pianist. I wanted to be a concert pianist, and I wasn't interested in opera at all. I had the same sort of misgivings that other people had, that it was complicated, it was, you know, fat ladies up there wobbling away. But I was always interested in theatre as well, and orchestras, and it seemed that opera combined all of those things. And as I developed and I went to my first opera, which happened to be the Marriage of Figaro, I thought there's something in this, and it's a wonderful way in which drama and music is combined, and orchestras, which are absolutely wonderful to hear live. And so then I decided I would try and see if I could make my way in that particular world.
And you say drama, and you say music and orchestra. Those things apply to a musical as well. So how does opera differ? Well,
I mean, they're related, aren't they? I mean, a piece like The Magic Flute is arguably one of the first musicals. It's dialogue, spoken dialogue with catchy numbers, crowd-pleasing numbers in some ways. And I think that there is a relationship between them. Opera is usually through composed, so it doesn't have that element of spoken dialogue in. And sometimes I think probably the vocal writing is probably more intricate, probably has more notes, for example, I suppose. But they're related. I mean, they're not a million miles away from each other. I mean, one big difference is, of course, that an operatic voice doesn't have any enhancement in terms of microphones and things like that. And I suppose, but they're very similar.
Whilst I've got you, I do want to ask about Craig Revel Horwood.
Oh, right.
Just recap what occurred.
Well, again, it was La Bohème, one of the most difficult operas to coordinate and conduct. That was going to be the prize at the end of the whole process. It was a TV program, yeah, BBC. Following up from Maestro at the Opera, and 4 celebrities had never conducted before in their life. They could read music, and they had an interest in opera and things theatrical. And it was varying stages, starting from nowhere, basically learning how to beat 4 in a bar or 3, and apply it then to some little snippets of opera, and eventually, if they were thought to be good enough, they would get the prize of actually conducting at Covent Garden with an audience of 2,000 or whatever it was, with a full cast and complement of 200 people on stage, with a wonderful Royal Opera Orchestra, Act 2, which is one of the most complicated things in the repertoire. And I have to say, we made a fantastic team, and
And you did it.
He won. He did what I told him to do, and he won. So.
And you've just won an Olivier Award as well.
Yeah.
What was that for?
That was, again, our programme as English Touring Opera, based at the Linbury studio at the Royal Opera House. We were offering two unusual, in terms of they're not performed very much, two British operas. One, a rather serious one by Michael Tippett called King Priam, and a much more frivolous operetta by Benjamin Britten, a very early piece. Very, very catchy, very entertaining, very, very funny. And that combination, not the choice of the repertoire, it was obviously how we performed it, because with great quality and with great virtuosity and wonderful productions, we managed to get this Olivier Award, which is thrilling.
Great stuff. What do you think is special then about English touring opera?
I think the fact that we are a mid-scale, in terms of size, company, and that the general director and artistic director, James Conway, actually directs shows. I think there's this communication between those who are often, the singers I can see here, actually, many of them, we share them all in Britain. They go around all the opera houses, and including English touring opera on tour. I think there's this feeling that there's an unpretentious view of how we produce works. We want to do the best quality possible to the widest audience. People buy into it, and I think they feel that there's an artistic centre and core to it that they can sign up to and invest in, and I think that's why it's a happy company, actually.